Hello, hi everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Money Garden. And today it's Friday, it's for Fun Friday, and I really wanted to share a book review today with you guys. That I read this book, and it really it changed so many things, the way I look at the way I do, the way some of the things that I do every day, how I go about my day, how I develop really good habits. And without further ado, I wanted to introduce to you guys to this book, and it's called The Power of Habit. The Power of Habit. It was written by Charles Duhigg, and it's absolutely a best-selling, a New York Times bestseller. And just high level, I wanted to let you guys know. So here are some of the things that, so the book is basically, has three parts to it. The part one talks about something called the habits of individuals. The habits of individuals. Part two talks about the habits of successful organizations. And then part three talks about the habits of societies. So this is a fantastic book because it is why I liked it so much. And I believe that it might give you guys a different perspective, and hopefully you'll be able to understand a little bit some of the things that you do that perhaps if you look at it, you think to yourself, okay, I don't like that habit, or why do I do that? I really feel like I need to change that. But you tried it in the past and it didn't work for you. And then sometimes we get frustrated. I don't know if you're like me, but sometimes I do things and I get frustrated at myself, knowing I'm like, why do I do that? I know that doesn't serve me. I know it's not good. I know it's not going to help me reach my goals. But yet I do it, and then I get frustrated at myself. Why do I do that? When in fact, in reality, if I don't understand what fuels it, and if I don't understand all the mechanics of human psychology and why we do what we do, and how basically we change our habits, and how do we, work with trigger points and etc., then you're not going to know. Then you're just going to continue doing it, and you're going to keep getting frustrated, which is what happened to me. And then I read this book, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. And what I love about the book the book talks about something throughout the whole book, and it's called the habit loop. And the author believes that every single habit that we do, there is always there is a loop to it, right? There is something that triggers it. Right. So for example, when you if somebody's emotional eater, I'm an emotional eater. So if you can identify with that, hope this will help you. When I get emotionally a little bit distraught, immediately the very first thing for me is think of something sweet. Like I want to go grab a piece of cake. I want to go grab a piece of chocolate. I feel like I want to fill something that nervousness, or something that that makes me feel sad, or the fear or the doubt, and then I feel like if I eat it for the moment, it makes me feel good, right? But we know, again, it's kind of like a drug, because it is an addiction. Long term, once I eat it, I may have that high that's going to last a very little bit, but then when it's going to come crashing down, and it did not solve my problem. First of all, the reason why I ate that piece of chocolate, or whatever it is that I ate that's sweet, it didn't solve the original problem, what triggered it for me to want to eat it. But number two, now I feel even worse about it, because now I just consumed all these extra calories that I know first of all, I don't need them for nutrition. I don't. And it's not even a matter of like every now and then I indulge. Okay, every now and then, that's like once a month, right? Once every couple of weeks. But if I go through an emotional state where every day I feel off, or something makes me sad, every day I'm going to eat that, that's not every now and then, right? Now I'm just trying to mask, I'm just trying to use this for the moment to put a band-aid on something that actually requires more action to fix, right? So in the long run, I'm going to feel really bad about it. Why did I eat it? Those of you that have been there, you know exactly what I'm talking about, that once you eat it in a moment, it feels good, but then afterwards you're like, ugh, I wish I didn't eat that. I'm not going to do it again. But then guess what happens? Tomorrow something doesn't go well, or I get emotionally, like I get sad, or I get upset. You know what I'm doing, right? But so it's the trigger. It's the trigger that triggers that that bad habit or the habit that we don't like, that we want to change. Then there is the action. There is the action of actually doing it. I get up, I go, and I somehow, like an addict, right? I will always find a way to find a piece of cake or piece of chocolate or whatever. And then number 3 is the result. So the result for us is like, oh, I feel good, right? I don't feel that emotional pressure anymore for the moment. So then basically the book talks about it, and you guys go ahead and please go and buy the book and read it. It will just help you so much if you feel like you're struggling with certain habits, because you will understand how it all loops back. So basically he talks about this loop. We have to be aware of the trigger of the bad habit, right? So something happens, the trigger. All we have to do is just change the action in between, and then we're gonna get the same reward, right? So now if I'm an emotional eater and something bad happens, and immediately I feel this emotional distress, that's my trigger, right? My result is I want to feel good. I want to lessen the emotional distress, right? So what do? I take the cake. Now what if I come up with something else, a different action that I can do without getting the cake or the sweet, that it will give me the same result? What if maybe, I drink lemonade, maybe, or maybe I get a popsicle, or what if I call a friend and I talk about my emotional distress, right? I get a big glass of water and I call someone. Or what if, another thing, what I have found for myself is look for solution. Try to train myself that when something doesn't go well and it triggers an emotional response, usually negative emotional response, is I immediately go into like solution mode. Okay, if this didn't work, this it wasn't helping me, or I didn't give me the result I wanted, what's the solution? And then I sit down and I start writing down ideas and focusing on solution. And then I find that the result I get, which I'm gonna feel better, all of a sudden that bad feeling, it dissipates, it goes away, I don't sit in it, I still get the same result. So I'm sorry it feels like a little bit rambling, but for me this was like hello light bulb moment, right? To help me get out of my bad habits and get into good habits, so then ultimately I can go forward, I can achieve my goals, I can get the results. Because I know, and I think a lot of you can relate to this, that when things are going well and you're accomplishing everything you want, all of a sudden, guess what? You're eating healthier, you're working out more, you're happier, you have more joy, right? So everything else kind of falls from there. So again, that also applies for everything else. But if you learn and if we understand why do we do the things we do, and more importantly, if there are some habits that don't serve us, if we just change or tweak one little part of this loop, then we're able to overcome it and not only get rid of a bad habit, but introduce good habits. So again, the Power of Habits, you guys, Charles Dewing. It's really an excellent read and I highly recommend it. And then there's of course lots of other goodies in the book that you learn about. But it talks about individual habits, habits of organizations, and habits of society. So I hope that helps you guys. Have a great Friday. Have a fantastic weekend, everyone. And as always, I really appreciate the view. Thank you so much. I will see you guys on Monday.